When we talk about cybersecurity, we spend a lot of time thinking about the walls we build to keep the bad guys out. But what happens when they get in anyway? Because sometimes they do. Today, we're going to unpack something called forensic readiness. And I promise, it's not just some boring IT task. Think of it as your essential playbook for what to do in the middle of a full-blown cyber crisis. So let's just dive in and imagine what that crisis feels like.
Okay, picture this. The alarms are going off. Maybe not literally, but you get it. Data is pouring out of your network, and your boss is on the phone demanding answers, like yesterday. The pressure is just immense. What you do in these first few moments, well, that can be the difference between a controlled, manageable response and absolute, total chaos. So the real question is, are you ready? Because, let's be honest, without a plan, this is exactly what you're up against. You've got panicked IT staff who might accidentally delete the one piece of evidence you need. Your legal team is completely in the dark, and that could expose the company to massive fines. And in the middle of all that chaos, the investigation just stalls. And your customers' trust? Gone. That is the real price of being unprepared. But it absolutely doesn't have to be that way.
To steer clear of that nightmare scenario, you really need two things. First up, we're going to talk about your forensic toolkit. Seriously, think of this like an emergency response bag that you pack long before a disaster ever strikes. It's got everything you need, all ready to go at a moment's notice. So what actually goes into this toolkit? Well, the official term is forensic resources. And it's so important to get this. This isn't just about buying some fancy software. No, it's the whole package. The right people, the right gear, and the right documented processes, all working together seamlessly. Let's kick things off with the people. This is your human toolkit, your A-team. You need trained forensic analysts. These are the experts who know how to handle digital evidence without messing it up. You absolutely need legal experts to guide you through that tricky maze of compliance laws. And of course, your own IT and security staff. They know your systems better than anyone. Then you have your incident responders, who are really your first line of defense. All right, next up is the technical gear. On the hardware side, things like write blockers are completely non-negotiable. They literally stop you from accidentally changing the original evidence. It's kind of like the digital version of not touching anything at a crime scene. Then on the software side, you've got tools that create perfect digital copies or images of hard drives and other tools that let you dig through network traffic and system memory to find the attacker's footprints. And finally, your toolkit needs procedures. These are your action plans. You need step-by-step standard operating procedures, or SOPs, so everyone knows exactly what their job is. And this is so critical. You need chain of custody forms. This is the paperwork that proves the evidence was never tampered with, which is something you'll definitely need if you end up in court. These documents are what turn a frantic, chaotic mess into a methodical, defensible process. So you've put together your toolkit. You've got the people and the gear. But tools are pretty useless if you don't have clear rules on how and when to use them. So that brings us to the second piece of the puzzle, your investigation rulebook. Now, this rulebook is officially called a forensic policy. And really, it's the high-level document that gives your team the authority to do their job and sets the ground rules for any investigation. It answers all the big questions like, when do we investigate? Who is in charge here? And how do we do this without breaking any laws? A really solid policy is going to have a few key parts. The scope, for instance, that defines which systems are fair game. Roles and responsibilities, well, that gets rid of all the confusion about who's supposed to be doing what during a crisis. The evidence handling section gives you super strict rules to make sure everything holds up in court. And the legal section? That's what makes sure your investigation doesn't accidentally cause an even bigger problem by violating privacy laws. This policy, it's the backbone for your entire response. And if you had to boil the main goal of this entire rulebook down to one single phrase, this would be it. Everything you do, every rule, every procedure, it's all designed to protect the integrity of the evidence. Because without that, your whole investigation could be completely worthless. This just shows that having a formal policy isn't just about bureaucratic red tape, it's your legal shield. Okay, so we've covered the toolkit and the rulebook. Now let's get to the good part, the payoff. Why on earth would you go through all this effort? What does being ready actually look like when the pressure is on? Well, the difference is pretty much night and day. If you're unprepared, you get chaos. Evidence gets wiped, investigations take forever and give you the wrong answers, and your company's reputation is just shattered. But with a toolkit and a rulebook, you get a coordinated, consistent response. The evidence is safe, the investigation is fast and accurate,
And you actually build trust by showing you're in control of the situation.
So to wrap it all up, forensic readiness, it's not just an IT function. It's a core business strategy. It protects you legally, it makes sure your investigations are actually accurate, and it helps your evidence stand up in court. But maybe most importantly, it helps you stay coordinated and in control during what could otherwise be a totally catastrophic event. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. In today's world, a major security incident isn't really a possibility. It's pretty much an inevitability. It's a question of when, not if. So the real question you need to be asking yourself is this: when that day comes, is your toolkit packed and is your rulebook ready to go?